The Mercedes GLB 200 Premium Plus. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Lionel, this is Techloto, and this is my review for the Mercedes GLB Premium Plus 2021 version after 9 months. Mercedes describes this car as their most versatile compact SUV. So what does that mean? Well, really, it's just a multi-purpose car. It's a car that gives you all the space and all the comfort that you need for you and your family, but still makes you feel like you're driving something sporty and fun. This is a car that's really ideal for long-term use, something that you would probably want to settle on. People who buy this car probably won't be using it for less than 10 years. It's ideal for growing families. Even if you have teenagers, this car is still perfectly suitable. And I love all of the technology inside this car. It makes it really future-proof. To be quite honest, I struggle to believe that this is a 1.3 litre car. It's just unbelievable. Of course, it's turbocharged, which just means that you get all of the speed without any of the ULEZ fees. So first of all, let's start with the interior of the car. Starting with the 10.2 inch display. It's so wide and it's almost completely flat. When you're in the car, you're not getting any glare from any angles, which is something that's really important on a digital display. The dashboard is just as wide, but it's not touchscreen like the display, which I'm really glad for, because having a touchscreen dashboard is just a disaster waiting to happen. So having the dashboard along with controls on the steering wheel and a section in your armrest means that you can control the functions of the car from 3 places. So moving on to the seating, let's start with the seats at the back. These seats are ideal for smaller and younger children. I really think older teenagers will struggle to sit here for long journeys, so the younger kids should be relegated to the back. Skipping over the middle seats, let's jump straight to the front. With the front seats, the passenger and the driver have full control of the electronic seats. And with the driver's seat, just as Mercedes users will be used to, you can actually set user profiles depending on who's sitting inside of the car. You can save up to 3 user profiles, but the really cool thing about this car is that you can actually save the user profiles to each key. So it means that as soon as the car senses the key inside of it, it'll adjust the seat to that user profile. Of course, if you'd like to be more careful and you'd like to just use one key between you and your partner, you can save the user profiles on the car and it doesn't have to be tied to the keys at all. So let's talk about the 3 seats in the middle. So many times with SUVs, you have those 3 seats in the middle. It looks like it should be able to fit everyone, but it's just not that comfortable. With the Mercedes GLB 200, that's completely not the case. You can adjust the seats forwards and backwards by 14 centimeters. We've actually tested it with 3 adults sitting in the back seat and everybody was comfortable for a long journey. That right there is a small feature that just makes this car absolutely future-proof. Let's talk about the boot space. You can clearly see how big the boot is, and I could read out a bunch of specs and telling you about how many liters it can handle. Or I could answer the question that you came here to ask, which is how much IKEA furniture can you really fit inside of this car? Well, the largest piece of furniture that I've been able to fit in with all the seats folded down, apart from the 2 front seats, is a Stockholm glass cabinet display. Of course, we have to take the feet off and put it in the front passenger seat. With the Stockholm glass cabinet inside of it, it still had 2 rugs on the side and it was perfect, and there was still space at the top. The adjustability of being able to fold down the back seats and fold down the rest of the seats just makes this an ideal future-proof car. The ambient lights really stand out in this car, but not in a jarring way. One thing I really struggle with is light sensitivity, and the worst thing is if you're driving down a motorway, especially at night, having those annoying ambient lights inside of the car can be a little bit frustrating, but because of the casing of the lights, it means that it's not too much, and even if you struggle with that, then you're able to dim the light to your comfort level. And speaking of lights, when you switch on the car, you see the LED lights in front do a little dance. But Mercedes isn't just showing off for the sake of it, they're trying to give you an insight into just how many LEDs are in those headlights. In fact, I'll put a link in the description to a video where the lights are fully explained. It's impressive and extremely helpful for when you're driving on those long country roads and you have other cars coming towards you, the lights automatically adjust. When you're going around bends, you have to watch the video to really see what it does. And that's what I like about this car. I will talk about some of the facade that's built on the outside of the car later on, but when it comes to the actual features, everything is there and everything has a purpose. So having the handrest on this car is really helpful. Dare I say, it seems like it's ergonomically designed and it's just the perfect fit for your hand. So that's definitely a plus from me for the handrest. But let's talk about the design of this car. Why does it go such a long way to look so serious? This interior is the sports version, but if you look at the leather, look at the stitching, even look at the fan vents, It looks like it should be bellowing smoke, thankfully it doesn't, but this car goes such a long way to prove it's such a serious car. And I think the reason why it does that is because Mercedes wants mum and dad to feel comfortable driving this. That being said, let's move on to the exterior of the car and talk about all the ways in which this car takes itself so seriously and presents such a facade. With the lovely grille at the front and the massive exhaust at the back, it's a real shock to realize that they're just plastic casings to make the car look big and mean and serious. This is contrasted with the lovely curves of the car, and the light hits it so perfectly. The reason why I'm impressed is because I think Mercedes does hold true to what they're saying. This is a versatile SUV, not just versatile in its functions, but versatile in its look and its design. So it's mean and big enough for dad, but it's smooth and beautiful enough for mum to drive it and feel comfortable. So moving on to my favorite features, I'd be remiss if I didn't cover these, but these are all of the features which I think make this car really cool. First of all, let's talk about what Mercedes does to help users. You have two buttons that allow you to call for assistance. One is an SOS button, which is only for emergency circumstances, and the second one is the Mercedes Me button, and that's for when you have things like a punctured tire. We actually did have a punctured tire and we pressed the Mercedes Me button. I'll be completely honest with you, it's nothing that's going to be that much different from AA, but the benefit of it is that you're speaking to someone from Mercedes, they call someone out, and it took about an hour and a half to get someone out to change the tire, and it was a very smooth process without us having to fork up an extra £12 a month to AA. It's a really useful feature, and this was late at night, so 24 hours around the clock, you'll always be able to use the Mercedes Me button and the SOS button. Some of the things I like about this car is the safety features that are available. One that really stands out to me is what happens if you need to open the door and there's actually a car driving behind you. You'll notice that what will happen is that the ambient lights on that side of the car will start to flash, and there will be a beeping sound coming out from the speaker in that area. That's really useful if you have kids, if you have passengers that are getting out of the car and they're not really thinking about what's going on the road. From a car like this, you would certainly expect that your rear cameras would come on when you're reversing. But what makes it really stand out is that when you're reversing, the side mirror on the passenger side actually tilts down to assist you with your parking. As an AV guy, sound is really important to me. I think the speakers in this car are brilliant and the placement of the speakers are even better. But unfortunately, when it comes to testing sound, some people try to record it on a camera, which is completely counterproductive. I can't test the sound, you have to listen to this for yourself. But one thing I can talk about is the microphone in this car. So because the microphone is so well placed and so clear, sometimes we've noticed that people actually say you're a bit too loud. Having that option to turn the microphone up or down is really useful, and I don't have to shout to be heard. In terms of connectivity, there are USB ports galore. Unfortunately, there are USB-C ports, but that's what we're all moving towards, again with this car being future-proof. Of course, with a car with so many positives, there has to be some negatives. Unfortunately, something that I've noticed is that when you're driving at a slower speed, the car can struggle to change gears. So I'm talking about the 20 miles per hour range. If you're trying to go up from 20 to 30, it can take its time a little bit and you feel like you have to add a few more revolutions to it for it to really change gears, which is slightly frustrating but probably not noticeable for most. Of course, if you put your foot down, the car will just shoot off, but I don't like that delay in changing gears. This is something that we found earlier on when the car was newer, and it's less noticeable now. To be honest, I don't know if that's because we're driving faster, but it's just something to look out for. But that essentially is my review for the Mercedes GLB 200 Premium Plus. It's a great car for a young family, a new family. It's completely versatile in its design and its functions. There are absolutely a ton of functions that I wasn't even able to cover, but I think this is a really reliable and future-proof car. I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you found all the points helpful when it comes to the Mercedes GLB 200 Premium Plus. Please let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll be sure to reply and engage in any debates that you have about this car. Thank you very much for watching.